Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Today, I want us to look at this video that I saw, kind of talk about it a little bit. It's an interesting. I think the guy is a professor in some university, and I think he has some points that he's making, and I find some of the things that he's saying intriguing, fascinating, and some of it even downright funny. But you know, what I want us to to kind of follow his train of thought to see if there's any some level of logic and sensibility to what he's saying. But I overall I did find the video very interesting. So uh, I hope you guys get one or two things out of this video. Okay, all right, let's go.
Well, I think that the useful thing about Trump is that he can package the dismantling of American empire as the building of American empire. That's what he's doing. Because you have to sell to your demographic. And Americans are not the most mature, the most realistic, the most responsible people in the world, the most well acquainted with history and so forth. So you cannot possibly sell America's necessary downsizing and the managed erosion of America and the hollowing out of America as, we've made a lot of bad choices for a very long time. We've only ever really made short-term plans for the future. So it turns out that there's a lot of unavoidable, necessary changes that have to be made at your expense. You can't really sell that to the American public. You can't tell the American public the consequences of a thing. That demographic of political consumers simply cannot compute a message like that. Because look, what Trump is going to do, what he is doing, and what he will do, these are all things that were going to happen anyway, with or without him. He's just the one who's selling it.
All right. I came up with this line of thought about about situation. Sometimes I feel like sometimes everybody's going to the same destination, good or bad, right? But there are some people that are running to the destination, and there's some people that are walking to the destination. So, in line with that, what he's saying that it doesn't matter who would have been in power, whether it was Kamala Harris or of course the current administration, Trump, that we were still going to get the same result, right? It all depends on. It's a question of process of how, not the end goal. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I tend to agree. I really do agree with that. That's because it kind of aligns with what the logic kind of makes sense, right? Because if you look at how everything is progressing and what's happening, it's not really what they do or don't do. It's really the end result that really matters. What is the outcome, right? Okay, let's continue.
To you as a good thing. That's his job. He's like the guy at a company who's designated as the one to deliver the bad news to you that you're going to be let go. And you designate him for that job because he has a way of presenting it to you. He has a way of presenting to you being fired as the greatest opportunity of your life, all the new horizons that you're going to be able to pursue and so on. That's Trump. That's Trump's job. America has been stuffing balloons up their sleeves for a very long time and telling everyone that they're muscles. But now even the balloons are deflating. The great American hoax is over. And Trump is there to oversee the dismembering of American empire. The U.S. is going to be isolated, it's going to withdraw, and it's going to be non-competitive globally. Like I said, this is all
All right. Talking about the isolation of the United States, some of the actions that has been taken could be quite accurately depicted as self-isolation. Withdrawing from the WHO is definitely not a good thing. And other approaches that's been taken, including possible tariff and back and forth, you know, and other organization they shutting down the USA ID, all these things. It doesn't. I don't see it as expanding the United States power or influence. I see it more of a retraction. So yes, logically, it does have a point regarding the possible isolation of the United States if we continue in this way. I think it's valid. Okay, let's continue.
Avoidable. This would have happened with or without Trump. You've simply come to the end of your life cycle as a hegemonic superpower. And the decay and the decomposition that will follow is just part of the natural process. Trump can't be blamed for that, and he can't be given credit for any of this. But his job is to make you think that none of it's happening, even while it's happening right in front of your face. This is what Trump's main job is. Because look, for example, drill, baby, drill, right? Make America energy self-sufficient, et cetera, fire up all of the dormant oil wells and so forth in West Texas and so on, while simultaneously asking OPEC to lower oil prices, which of course means asking OPEC to increase production. Okay. The way that goes is increased production by OPEC, and if they do it by the US as well, okay, then the oil price drops and cheap oil floods the market, out of sync with demand, driving the price down even further. Now the price is too low for it to even be profitable for American producers to drill, to refine, or to extract. You understand? American oil producers need for oil to be at a minimum of $40 per barrel for it to even be worth it. For it to even be worth it to drill and extract and refine and so forth. Meanwhile, OPEC can still make a profit at just $10 a barrel. So you understand, America cannot play the oil game with OPEC. OPEC has the capacity to ramp up oil production if they want to, anytime they want to. They can ramp up oil production, they can increase production to a level within just 90 days that America couldn't reach even in 5 years. In other words, OPEC can decimate the American oil and gas sector anytime they want. The only reason they don't do that is because they want to maintain price stability for their own benefit, for their own reasons. They would rather have oil at $70 a barrel or $100 a barrel rather than $10 a barrel. So they choose to allow America to stay in the game. And that's the only reason. But if you're going to ramp up oil production on your end, well, then you better hope that OPEC responds by cutting production on their end just to stabilize the price. Because if they don't, if they respond in kind and they do what you do, and they also ramp up oil production, and then they drive the price of oil down to their minimum profit level, well, that will nuke America's whole oil industry. Plants, drilling sites, refineries, all of that's going to shut down. Tens of thousands of jobs will just disappear overnight. And for every one job in the oil and gas sector, there's at least 2 or 3 jobs that are indirectly related to that. So you were looking at potentially hundreds of thousands of jobs lost by drill, baby, drill. Not to mention, when that happens, no one in the private sector is going to invest in the oil sector anymore. So you see, no more exports to Europe, no more exports anywhere, no more oil exports, energy exports. Meanwhile, you're going to abandon renewable energy, clean energy, and so on. The Green New Scam, as Trump says, he's very much against that. And at the same time, you have the UAE and you have Saudi Arabia investing hundreds of billions.
Okay, regarding the oil production, well, the last I heard, I think the current cost of a barrel of oil is about $40. Okay, so that means that the cost of producing oil has gone up. Because if I were to use this number as the baseline, which is $10 minimum for OPEC, the world current oil, the world currently, the cost of a barrel of oil is $40. Okay, to produce a barrel of oil is $40. Okay, so the issue here is that OPEC to cut down, right, to cut down their oil production. It's not necessary because OPEC is not a one country, it's multiple countries on there. So this will affect the individual countries on there, unless the price is high enough to make up for the oil, for the production being cut. You understand? So there's pain that is going to spread across the world. So if the US ramp up oil just to meet us, and OPEC has to cut so that they can maintain a certain price price margins so that they can make money, which is, if they're producing anything above 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks a barrel would be ideal. The price has to be high enough. Basically, the price has to be high enough. Whatever direction you go, whether the US ramp up oil production, which is what they want to do, and OPEC has to lower oil production. Because if they ramp it up, for sure the price is going to go down, right? So they have to lower oil production. But now the issue is that if they lower oil production, the price has to be high enough to make sense for OPEC. If not, it's not going to work. That's one, which is going to drive oil production down. It's still going to affect everybody. It's going to affect the US, just like the professors say, and it's going to affect everybody else on the OPEC organization. But then again, if they have to cut it down, but the price has to be high enough to make sense for some of the OPEC, that means the cost of gas is going to go up for the US and for everybody else. So this is not a good thing. All right, but anyway, let's continue.
Of dollars in the U.S. In energy-intensive businesses in the United States. I mean, Trump said it himself. If oil companies drill themselves out of business, I don't give a damn. That's what he said. So you see how the rhetoric, how the marketing actually sells the opposite of what the policy outcome is actually going to be. I don't think for a second that Trump doesn't know that. I think he knows that. No one who's putting these policies in place doesn't know what the outcomes will be. And that's why the policies are being pursued, because they want to achieve those outcomes, those very outcomes. But you can't sell that to the electorate. You can't tell the American people, we, your private sector overlords, are no longer tied to the success or the prosperity or the stability of the American economy. We have global interests, not national interests. And so we've decided to drive the U.S. into energy bankruptcy as quickly as possible. And maybe then we can sell all of America's oil and gas assets to Saudi Arabia or to China or what have you for pennies. You can't tell the American people that. So instead, you say, Trump says, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, better, stronger, faster than anyone. We're going to produce more oil than anyone else in the world, and so on and so on and so on. We're number one, and everyone cheers. Everyone applauds while the oxygen is being drained from the room. Well, let me tell you, that's exactly what's going on. The last time Trump was in office, Saudi Arabia and Russia collaborated to flood the global oil market during COVID-19, no less. And the U.S., under Trump, the U.S., the media, portrayed this as a price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. But it was transparently done. It was transparently undertaken by Russia and Saudi Arabia, specifically to undermine the American oil sector, the American oil industry. It completely crashed the oil price, making oil production completely unviable for the U.S., for U.S. producers, okay? Trump had good relations with Russia. He had good relations with Saudi Arabia, still does. And I think it's fair to say that this was a three-way collaboration, not just between Russia and Saudi Arabia. Trump was involved. And now Trump already wants to do it again within his first week in office. I don't think OPEC is going to go along with it, to be honest. Not right now. Why should they? You said drill, baby, drill, so you go ahead and do that. You go ahead. You drill. But we are not going to initiate a crash in the oil price. We need the money right now. We have projects. So you have to take Trump seriously, but never at his word. Never take him literally. But do take him seriously, because he's a mascot for a faction of power that needs to be taken very seriously. The A National OCGFC, owners and controllers of global financialized capital. They're essentially the real unipolar superpower of the world. And Trump is their hatchet man in America. Now, generally speaking, this is going to be very good for the Muslim world. Generally speaking, it's going to be good for the Muslim world and the global South more broadly. Yes, it is. But I know that things are going to get very hard for you in the U.S. Things are going to get very hard for you in the West overall. Now, most people around the world, in the global South, they'll react to that news the same way that someone would react to hearing about a serial killer getting shanked in prison. He had it coming. That's how most people feel, to be honest. But I know that most people in the West already have it hard. I know that most people in the West are actually already suffering. And I know what it's like to live in America. It's not easy. And I know that just because of the consequences that you may suffer may be the result of your own actions, that doesn't make the consequences any easier to endure. I know it's going to be hard, especially when you're suffering the consequences of actions that were taken by your elites, not necessarily the actions of the common people. So I know this is hard to take, and it's going to be hard to take. Now, again, let me reiterate, this is not about Trump. It's not about Trump. The isolation, the degradation of America was going to happen anyway. It had to happen. This is just the necessary course of the logic of Western predatory capitalism. Just like Gorbachev wasn't really the one who destroyed the Soviet Union, he just oversaw the inevitable destruction, self-destruction of the Soviet Union because it had run its course. America has run its course. And when I say Western predatory capitalism, those adjectives are important because it's not even really about capitalism in and of itself. It really mostly has to do with the culture and the civilizational peculiarities of the West. They don't act like that because of capitalism. Their capitalism acts like this because of the way they are. You understand? And in fact, it's because of the way they are, that they even approach capitalism, trade, and so forth, and business the way they do. Their particular version of capitalism. And it's because of them, and because of the way they are, and because of their approach to capitalism, that the A-National OCGFC even are a thing. And it's also because of this that their own societies are now on the chopping block. It's because of the way they are. But that's a topic for another day. The point is, this is something that has to happen. It's something that has to happen, it's something that had to happen, it's something that will happen, and it's going to happen, no matter what. No matter whether it's Trump or anyone else. Anyone who says, for example, well, that's what you get for voting for Trump, or you should have voted for Harris. Well, I mean, you're so thoroughly indoctrinated and participating in the deception and the deflection of that system that you yourself are just as much a cause for the collapse of the United States as anyone else that you blame for it. You created a class of A-national elites, oligarchical elites, whose private profit interests are no longer connected to your own economy. You did that. They're not connected to any productive activity.
All right, so we're not going to watch the entire video. You can check it out on the platform. But long story short, the way things are going, you mentioned like Gorbachev when he oversaw the destruction of the Soviet Union. It seems to imply that that's what we're going through right now. Trump is the one overseeing the destruction of America. Do you agree? If you agree, write below you agree. If you don't agree, write below you don't agree. Alright guys, maybe some other time I will run through some of the rest of the videos so that you guys can see some of the stuff that the gentleman is talking about. But other than that, appreciate you guys tuning in. Take care, and please don't forget to subscribe and share the video. Bye.